He saw my silence as defeat, my absence from his manufactured spotlight as weakness, a pathetic retreat. He couldn't have been more wrong. I remember the day vividly. Not the day I first conceived of Luminocity, the sustainable urban tech solution that had consumed my every waking moment for years, but the day my brother, Kael, effectively declared war. The air in that convention hall was thick with feigned admiration and artificial light, reflecting off the polished surfaces of screens broadcasting his carefully crafted lies. He stood on a brightly lit stage, the logo of Ascend Solutions, a thinly veiled imitation of my own original design, a crude mockery of the meticulous detail I had poured into it, emblazoned behind him. His voice, amplified and booming, reverberated through the hall, thick with self-congratulation as he accepted accolades for a vision he had neither conceived nor truly understood. He spoke of innovation, of a future he was supposedly building, words that tasted like ash in my mouth. I watched from the very back of the room, a ghost at my own grand unveiling, my heart a silent drumbeat against my ribs. His eyes, sweeping the audience with practiced confidence, met mine for a fleeting second. That moment lasted an eternity. A flicker of triumph, raw and unapologetic, danced in his gaze, followed by a hint of a sneer, a subtle downturn of his lips that only I would recognize. He believed he had won. Oh, how desperately mistaken he was. The irony was almost comical, a bitter amusement stirring deep within me. I had known since before he even took his first breath of that manufactured triumph that his victory was merely a prologue to his downfall and my own true beginning. My heart, though bruised and aching with the sharp sting of betrayal, was calm, almost eerily so. I held a secret, not one born of malice or petty revenge, but a foresight and a deep, intrinsic understanding of human nature, especially Kael's. He saw my silence as defeat, my absence from his manufactured spotlight as weakness, a pathetic retreat. He couldn't have been more wrong. I was simply observing, gathering data, meticulously charting his trajectory, and quietly, systematically, preparing to show him the true meaning of ingenuity, integrity, and absolute, undeniable success. To understand that moment, that quiet resolve that hardened me, you must first understand the arduous journey that led me there, the very genesis of my life's work. From a young age, I was driven by a deep-seated, insatiable curiosity about how things worked, and more importantly, how they could work better. While Kael was always focused on external validation on the quickest, flashiest path to perceived success, I was drawn to the intricate dance of engineering and environmental science, the quiet satisfaction of solving complex problems. My hands were always dirty, my mind always buzzing with schematics, my nights often spent poring over textbooks and research papers. This quiet obsession culminated in Luminosity, a paradigm-shifting concept for urban infrastructure that leveraged renewable energy, smart resource management, and community-centric design to create truly sustainable, thriving cities. It wasn't just a business idea, it was a calling, a profound solution to real-world problems I cared deeply about, problems that kept me awake at night. I poured every ounce of my being into it, countless late nights fueled by cheap, lukewarm coffee and an unwavering conviction, sacrificing social life, living frugally to fund prototypes, even selling small pieces of inherited jewelry. It was my life's work, my soul distilled into a meticulously crafted blueprint for a better tomorrow. It was a dream made tangible, every line of code, every design detail, a testament to years of dedication. My relationship with Kael had always been complicated. He was 4 years my senior, a whirlwind of charm and superficial charisma, capable of captivating a room with a smile and a well-rehearsed anecdote. But beneath that polished exterior lay an insatiable ambition coupled with a startling, almost vacant, lack of original thought. He admired success, he just lacked the discipline, the perseverance, and the genuine intuitive spark to create it himself. He was a master of imitation, a connoisseur of shortcuts. I, on the other hand, was always quietly making, innovating, building, preferring the solitude of creation to the spotlight. This dynamic, though subtle at first, bred a quiet resentment in him, though I rarely recognized it as such until it was too late. I saw his occasional sharp comments, his thinly veiled criticisms of my impractical pursuits, as playful sibling rivalry, not the gnawing envy it truly was. He saw my dedication as naivety, my quiet focus as a weakness he could exploit. When I finally had a polished, detailed business plan for Luminosity, complete with patented designs, comprehensive market analysis, and meticulous financial projections, I shared it with him. Naively, foolishly, I saw him as a confidant, my older brother, someone who would offer support and perhaps even guidance in navigating the cutthroat business world, an arena he constantly boasted expertise in. My eyes, blinded by familial trust and my own earnest optimism, saw only a potential ally. He listened intently, his gaze fixed on my every word, occasionally interjecting with what I then thought were insightful questions. He praised my brilliance, my vision, even my meticulousness. He seemed genuinely enthusiastic, and I was so relieved to have a sounding board, someone to share the immense weight of my dream with. I felt a surge of warmth, a rare moment of connection with him. What I didn't realize then, what hindsight has illuminated with a cruel clarity, was that he wasn't listening to support me. He was systematically dissecting my intellectual property. He wasn't praising. He was cataloging. He was surgically extracting every detail, every unique selling proposition, every technological breakthrough, every nuanced insight into the market. Every commendation was a cover, every helpful suggestion a probe. He offered to help me refine my presentation, to introduce me to his network, to polish my raw genius. Instead, he meticulously stole every core concept, made minor cosmetic alterations to avoid direct infringement, or so he hoped, and then vanished into the shadows, a thief in the night, to launch his own venture. The call came weeks later, as cold and clinical as a surgeon's blade. He informed me, almost gleefully, with that familiar glint of triumph in his voice, that he had launched Ascend Solutions, a company that would revolutionize urban living. His words were a mirror image of my own mission statement, twisted and distorted. He dismissed my contributions with a dismissive laugh, mocked my impractical dreams, and told me with chilling finality to get real. The line went dead. I was devastated. The betrayal cut deeper than any financial loss, deeper than the theft of my intellectual property. It wasn't just my life's work. It was my trust, my fundamental belief in family, in the sanctity of that bond, that had been stolen and trampled upon. It felt like a part of my soul had been ripped out, leaving a gaping, searing wound. I hit rock bottom, there is no denying it. The initial shock gave way to a profound, suffocating sense of despair, a raw wound that refused to heal, festering with anger and self-recrimination. Days blurred into weeks. I barely ate, barely slept, lost in a fog of what-ifs and how could I be so blind. The apartment I had used as a makeshift lab, once a vibrant hub of invention, now felt like a tomb. But even in that crushing darkness, something within me refused to break. It was the same resilience that had propelled me through countless failures in the lab, the same unyielding passion for my original vision, the same stubborn refusal to quit that had defined my entire life. Kael had stolen my plan, meticulously documented and outlined, yes, but he could never steal my mind, my ingenuity, or the spirit that had breathed life into Luminocity in the first place. That, I realized in a moment of startling clarity amidst the gloom, became my secret weapon. It wasn't a physical asset or a hidden ally. It was the unquantifiable truth that his company was a hollow imitation, a house built on stolen sand, a mere echo. My original understanding, my unshakable belief in true deep innovation, allowed me to build something far superior, something he could never genuinely grasp or replicate. He had the blueprint, but I had the soul, the operating manual, the very DNA of the concept. He possessed the copy, but I held the original, and more importantly, the ability to evolve it. So while he was reveling in his perceived victory, basking in the mediocre glow of his stolen success, I was quietly, methodically, and with even greater determination, refining my initial concept. I didn't just rebuild, I reinvented. Every night was a battle against exhaustion. Every day a defiant act of creation. I secured new patents, each one a fortress guarding my true intellectual property, built on advancements that made my original ideas seem rudimentary. I found investors who believed not just in a concept, but in me and my unyielding commitment to genuine innovation, to the very pursuit of groundbreaking solutions. These were individuals who understood that integrity was not a luxury but a necessity. I assembled a team of brilliant minds, individuals whose ethics mirrored my own commitment to genuine progress, people who were drawn to a cause, not just a paycheck. I learned from my mistakes, becoming more guarded, more strategic, a formidable adversary, but never losing sight of my core purpose. I built my own true company from the ground up, brick by painstaking brick, fueled not by petty revenge, but by a quiet burning desire to prove my worth, to prove the enduring power of true innovation, and to show Kael and myself that integrity always wins in the end. It was about justice, not just for me but for the very idea of creation itself. While Kael continued to bask in the lukewarm glow of his moderately successful, yet ultimately derivative company, convinced that I was languishing in despair, perhaps even spiraling into obscurity, I was meticulously laying the groundwork for a true revolution. My silence was not an admission of defeat. It was a strategic choice, a period of intense, focused incubation. I didn't seek public confrontation or engage in petty slights or legal battles that would drain my resources and spirit. Such actions would have been beneath me, a waste of precious energy that could be far better channeled into building something truly extraordinary. Kael, with his inflated ego and limited depth, interpreted my quiet re-emergence, the faint whispers of Elara working on something new, or Elara's new venture gaining traction, as a sign of weakness, perhaps even a desperate attempt to catch up to his genius. He would dismiss them with a condescending laugh, a dismissive wave of his hand, or a smug comment about my impractical dreams, finally getting a dose of reality. He genuinely believed I was trying to copy him, unaware, in his profound self-absorption, that he was merely a shadow echoing my original brilliance, a faint reverberation of my initial thought. Every coded line of my refined software, every meticulously drafted patent, every late-night conversation with my burgeoning team was a quiet act of defiance, a brick laid in the foundation of my true empire. We were not just building a company. We were building a legacy of genuine innovation, a monument to authenticity. Our prototypes far exceeded anything Kael's team could ever conceptualize with their constrained, derivative understanding of my original work. They had the surface, the superficial shell, but we had the substance, the intricate machinery, the very pulse. While he marketed slight variations of my initial concepts, perpetually playing catch-up to his own stolen past, I was already 2-3 steps ahead, developing the next generation of urban technology, integrating advanced AI, truly groundbreaking sustainable materials, and bio-integrated systems that made his Ascend solutions look like a relic of the past, a quaint, inefficient museum piece. My focus was not on merely beating him, though that was an inevitable byproduct, but on utterly surpassing his wildest imagination, on creating something so uniquely powerful and universally beneficial that it would render his shallow imitation utterly irrelevant, a forgotten footnote in the annals of progress. The irony was not lost on me, a constant sharp reminder. He thought he had cut me out, but in doing so, he had merely freed me to forge my own, far more magnificent path, unburdened by his limitations. My journey was defined by creation, his by appropriation, and I knew with an unwavering certainty that settled deep in my bones, that the true measure of success would soon be undeniable, a truth revealed not by words but by deeds. The moment I saw the first print, slick and vibrant, with my face staring back from the cover of Forbes magazine, a profound sense of quiet satisfaction settled over me. It wasn't about revenge, it was about reclamation. It was about the universe balancing its scales. My team gathered around me in the office, their faces alight with a shared pride, their hard work, their unwavering belief, finally acknowledged on a global stage. The headline Elara Vance, the visionary behind tomorrow's cities, seemed to sing with the truth I had silently nurtured for years. The accompanying article detailed my revolutionary company, Viridian Systems, not just as a successful enterprise, but as a pioneer, a true game-changer in sustainable urban tech, far surpassing anything Kael had built with his stolen idea. I knew, however, that its true, devastating impact would only be felt by one person in one agonizing instant. I didn't have to witness it directly. I didn't need to be there to see the color drain from his face, to hear the magazine clatter to the floor. The reports, the quiet whispers that swelled into a roar, the subtle, then undeniable, shifts in the industry confirmed it all. Kael, basking in the lukewarm glow of his moderately successful, yet ultimately derivative, company, picked up a copy of Forbes from a newsstand, or perhaps had it delivered to his polished office. The instant his eyes landed on the cover, on my face radiating confidence, success, and genuine pioneering spirit, the world around him must have fractured, shattering into a million pieces. His carefully constructed facade of originality, that flimsy veil of self-deception, must have crumbled instantly, exposing the hollowness beneath. The article, meticulously detailing Viridian Systems' groundbreaking achievements, our proprietary technology, and the unprecedented investment we'd secured, would have been a direct, public, and undeniable indictment of his theft. A searing expose. Every word highlighting my true innovation would have simultaneously exposed his glaring lack thereof. The minor cosmetic changes he made to my original plan now looked like flimsy disguises, transparent and pathetic. His vision was revealed for what it truly was. A stolen echo, a pale, lifeless imitation of the vibrant reality I had created. The fallout was swift and merciless, a cascade of consequences, not from my direct action, but from the unyielding logic of the market and the quiet, undeniable power of truth. The calls started almost immediately, not to me, but from the periphery of Kael's world. Disbelief, then a calculated, abrupt shift in allegiances. His investors, who had once celebrated his shrewdness and business acumen, now saw the precarious foundation upon which their investments rested, built on deceit. The moderate success he had cultivated with my stolen seeds now seemed paltry, pathetically insignificant in comparison to the exponential growth and global recognition Viridian Systems was achieving. Industry analysts began to draw undeniable comparisons, their articles subtly, yet damningly, highlighting the striking similarities in Ascend Solutions' early offerings to my previously unpublished concepts. The whispers solidified into murmurs, then into public discussions about intellectual property, ethics, and the true cost of moral shortcuts. Key talent within his own company, perhaps long aware of the truth simmering beneath the surface, began to look for exits, sensing the impending collapse. Kael, accustomed to being the one in control, the charming manipulator, was suddenly adrift in a sea of questions, accusations, and collapsing credibility. His arrogance, once his impenetrable shield and his greatest asset, now became his greatest vulnerability, having blinded him to the inevitable consequences of his actions. I heard from mutual acquaintances, though I never sought details, that he struggled to maintain his composure in meetings, his usual charm replaced by a defensive anger that alienated even his most loyal associates. The empire he built on stolen ground began to sink, not with a bang, not with a dramatic explosion, but with the slow, agonizing creak of rot, of exposure, and the inexorable pull of gravity. Years have passed since that defining moment. Viridian Systems stands as a beacon of genuine innovation, a testament to what can be achieved when passion meets integrity, when vision is allowed to flourish untainted. My calendar is now filled with speaking engagements, collaborations with global leaders, strategic planning sessions for the next generation of sustainable technology, and the joyful pursuit of solving even grander challenges. The satisfaction I derive from this work is immense, a quiet, deep contentment that far transcends any fleeting triumph over a rival. Kael, on the other hand, watches from the sidelines, a ghost of his former self. Ascend Solutions, stripped of its initial momentum and plagued by ethical questions and a decaying reputation, eventually faded into irrelevance, a cautionary tale whispered in the hallowed halls of tech, a monument to hubris. He never truly understood that a concept could be stolen, yes, but true genius, the inherent ability to build upon and evolve that concept, to bring it to its fullest potential, could not. He fundamentally mistook appropriation for creation, and that fundamental misunderstanding ultimately led to his downfall. Life has a quiet, immutable way of balancing the scales. The true victories are never built on the backs of others, never on stolen dreams, but from the depths of one's own conviction, courage, and relentless effort. This journey has taught me that resilience is not merely bouncing back. It is the profound art of transforming pain into purpose and betrayal into an unshakable foundation for genuine, lasting success. In the cutthroat world of innovation, where shortcuts and deceptive practices are tempting, integrity is not a weakness. It is the ultimate, enduring strength. It ensures that even when everything seems to be taken from you, the one thing that can never be stolen, your true worth and the purity of your vision, will eventually emerge to light the way, guiding you not to mere victory, but to true vindication.